Day 14, Finals Day for the 2013 U.S. Open. All singles finals were played today except for the men's final, which will be played on Monday, and also the doubles final. One doubles final was left, and that went off at 12:30 in the afternoon on Arthur Ashe. We had Leander Paes and Stepanek rolling over PAES Soares. I don't even want to really get into this because, as I said in my preview, this was probably going to be a blowout because Paes and Stepanek are on fire, and this was the first final for PAES Soares. Well, on top of that, Paes had injured his back near the end of his semifinals match, and it was in real trouble. Even the last 2 days, he was trying to rest it and painkillers, and it still wasn't right. So they were like half a team, and then at one point in the second set, he took a long medical timeout for it. So it's a strained back, I think a severely pulled muscle. Paes is an older man, so he'll have to get that fixed now. But so with that and the first final and Paes Stepanek playing so well, it was an absolute wipeout. But Paes Stepanek deserved it. They played fantastic tennis this tournament, and the big final was really the one where they beat the Bryans. That was the true final, and that was a fantastic doubles match that, again, I say should have been on court Arthur Ashe at night. I will never understand that. But anyways, congrats to Paes and Stepanek. They had a slow start to the year. Stepanek got hurt. Paes was a little sluggish. Paes is playing great again, amazingly. This guy has like 9 lives, and so does Stepanek. So amazing stuff. Congrats to them. And then at high noon, we had the boys and girls singles final in the juniors, and 2 great ones, both 3-setters. Let's jump on court 7 quick and just do the boys. 2 Croatians, CORIC, and then for the girls, KONJUH. But the Australian for the men, and then KONJUH played the United States Tornado Black. But for the boys, Kokkinakis actually won the first set. I wasn't even sure he'd take a set, but I did say he'd start off maybe well and then start to wear down. And sure enough, CORIC said he was a little nervous to start, but then Kokkinakis was actually in the, I think he was in the Australian Open final against his buddy Kyrgios, however you say that. But anyways, so Kokkinakis actually beat CORIC in the semifinals at the Australian Open. But that's a different type of surface, and I think he was in better shape physically. I mean, Kokkinakis was in good shape until the end. He started to wear down a bit. I hit a couple of 3-setters, and then he had a shoulder problem for this match. It really flared up in the second set, and he really had nothing left for the third set, as you see, 6-1. They said he was grabbing his shoulder the whole third set. But, a lot of it's the surface and conditions to it. You can actually line up your shot, even though the surface is a little slower at the Australian Open and the balls, you can line up your shot and really smack it through the court. It's an offensive kind of court. Plus, it gets hot and dry there. Sometimes the desert air can move in Australia, and other times it's very humid and very slow, but other times it can get pretty kind of quick in the air anyway. So it can kind of lead to offensive tennis, whereas here it's been slow weather conditions. And even with the lively ball, that probably saw Kokkinakis through to the final, the lively ball, because he's a tall kid who likes to whack it. But I think it also took a toll. He had tough 3-setters. Guys were getting a lot of his balls back, making him really work for his points. And he's had injury problems his whole young career. And it caught up with him, and I knew CORIC was going to really make him work from the baseline. And CORIC kind of hung on by his teeth, as he said. He just was trying to hang in there, and finally, after 2-2 in the second set, Kokkinakis' level came down. He started to feel the shoulder issue, and then CORIC took it from there. So congratulations to him. Tough kid. He deserves a Grand Slam final for sure, top junior. And then the other top junior from Croatia, KONJUH, big girl. But again, she was making a lot of errors because Tornado Alicia Black, did the same thing to Lautner in the semifinal, which was a big German girl, is make her, a lot of power, but Tornado got a lot of balls back like a tornado, just running around like a maniac from the baseline, making a lot of balls and making the big girls make errors. But the difference with KONJUH and Lautner was KONJUH has more experience and has played. She's only 15 as well. Both of these girls were 15, which is amazing. But KONJUH's actually played a lot of big matches. I think she's played some Fed Cup, if I'm correct. And she also won the Australian Open already. So this was her second Grand Slam win. So her experience really saw her through. She calmed down in the second set, tried to make more balls, played longer points, and then Tornado Black had a leg problem that had been starting to bother her late in the tournament and really flared up. She had a big wrap on her leg, so that was slowing her down just a bit. And with KONJUH's more controlled game, she was able to power through, get a late break in that second set. And then in the third set, I think KONJUH was getting a little tired. So now we had tired, we had injury, we had nerves. There were a lot of breaks. There was also wind on the court picking up. And there were a lot of breaks going back and forth, and finally it got to a tie break. And Tornado Black actually went up 5-3 and served for the match, I think at 6-5, if I'm correct. Didn't get it. And then KONJUH, oh no, actually I guess she served for it at 5-4, so it wasn't a match point exactly. But anyway, KONJUH got the next 2 points on Tornado Black's serve to make it 6-5, and then Tornado Black saved a match point, but then KONJUH got a second match point and served it out 8-6. So, or actually she broke her for 8-6. She was trying to serve it out at 6-5. Black broke back to 6-6. KONJUH got the next one 7-6, and then Tornado Black serving, KONJUH got it 8-6. So a little more experience at the end. KONJUH admitted that, and Tornado Black both admitted that just the more experienced KONJUH. But what a tournament by this ALICIA Black. And in her interviews, and you'll see I have links below to all the interviews from all the finalists, or for the wheelchairs, they didn't actually have the interviews, but I have a link for the write-up on it. But and you can actually see pics of Lucas SITHOLE and all the wheelchair people. But anyways, Tornado Black is really calm in the interview room, very intellectual, very calm, and it's interesting because I have yet to see her play live, so I can't wait to see that. At the Australian Open, you can see these matches live because they're on Rod Laver, but here in the U.S. Open, they shut down all the courts except for Ash and the outer courts so that you don't see it live. So it's kind of a shame. I should have made it over there, but anyway, I'll see her in the near future, and yeah, she's a fighter. She runs balls down. It's going to be interesting to see how far she can take this. But of course, the women's game and the men's game is about power these days, especially with a slower surface and now these bigger, lively ball kind of thing. And well, at Wimbledon, it's a softer, deader ball, but it's lighter. So you know, there's an element in almost every tournament of the year now, and the Grand Slams, of big power from the baseline. So even though ALICIA Black gets a lot back, the types like KONJUH, Lautner, and these ones that hit it big from the baseline are gonna always have a little bit of an edge unless they start changing conditions. Okay, so after those ones, we had the wheelchairs. We had 3 wheelchair finals. Down on court 7, we had first was the quads, the men's quads, and I'm sorry, on court 11, the men's quads. But let's jump down here first. Let's go to the regular ones where they can use their upper limbs, but they don't have their legs. That's the regular wheelchairs, and the men's big, huge upset. Hude over Kunieda. I saw some pictures of Kunieda, and he looks out of shape a bit. Now, I don't know, you know, they don't run, but still, they're on a wheelchair. It takes an incredible amount of effort. And Kunieda looks bigger. He looks a little bit out of shape. He was struggling to even get to the final, which is odd for him. He's not as great as Verger, but he has the same, you know, almost in that same class. He wins a lot. He's the champ, and he's the king. And he usually wins in doubles, and he lost in his doubles, and he usually wins in his singles, and he usually beats Hude, who's been the second guy. And once Kunieda was hurt one year, Hude would win everything. But Hude finally broke through and took care of Kunieda. Hude's an older veteran. He's around 40, getting close to 40. So big, huge victory. And in the pictures, you can see, I'll have the link below, Hude looks really happy. I mean, it was a huge victory for him. And again, Kunieda, I don't know. I think he's got to get himself in shape. I don't know. Has he been not working out? I don't know what's going on. Maybe he had an injury again and he had to take time off. But anyway, big upset there. And then Van Koot is going to take the number 1 back from Ellerbrock. Ellerbrock's the older vet. Van Koot's about 22 or 24. She's young. And she's a big girl, though. And she started off a little slow. I think the experience from Ellerbrock saw her through the first set. But once Van Koot got into the match, her power took over. She won the second set and was up the third set 3-love. But Ellerbrock, again, and maybe a little fatigue from Van Koot, but Ellerbrock's, you know, tough experience brought her back, tied it up, took it to a tiebreak. But then Van Koot had one last blast and just blasted her off in the tiebreak, blasted off Ellerbrock and won. Big victory for Van Koot. I think Ellerbrock in the pictures looked very disappointed, but that was a tough one. That was battle for number 1. So, Anyway, so a couple great matches there, and a big upset with Cuneta. Then last but not least, we had the king in the quads, Wagner versus SITHOLE, who's been on fire. And I put up the link again to SITHOLE's biography below. An incredible biography. He got run over by a train as a little kid, lost legs and the right arm. So he's playing with one left arm. And we talk about Rafa Nadal and his big lefty arm. But I mean, this guy, that's all he has. And honestly, what an amazing man. What an amazing person. And I'm blown away by this. And he looks so cool, too. I mean, I was seeing pictures of him. I can't wait to see this guy play. I really wish I was there to see it. He just looks cool. I can't explain it. As cool as you could possibly ever look in a wheelchair. He looks so cool. And he started off slow in every one of his matches. He was down in the first set and came back in every one from a set down against Lapthorne, who was the up-and-comer and who's been knocking on the door to take that number one from Wagner. He beats him. Then he beat Wagner this week, and he comes back and beats Wagner again from a set down again in the final. This is incredible stuff. And we're going to be talking about Serena and Azarenka, and rightly so, and we're going to be talking about Nadal and Djokovic, I understand. But this is incredible. This guy is a true hero. And from South Africa, the first African to win a U.S. Open final. I guess at the end, what I was reading about, and you'll see the link below, supposedly at the end of the second set, they were on serve 4-all. Wagner was 2 games away. I really thought Wagner's experience would see him through, but I wasn't sure because SITHOLE is hot. And sure enough, he put the pressure on, a lot of defense from the baseline, backhand slices with his lefty arm, and Wagner was shook up and made 2 double faults to lose the break, to lose his serve, and then at 5-4, SITHOLE served it out. They go to a third set. They stay on serve again, 3-all. Again, a lot of pressure, 2 double faults. Wagner loses serve again. Old man yips, maybe. I don't know. Maybe just pressure from SITHOLE. Down 4-3. SITHOLE holds. Wagner holds. 5-4. Triple match point. SITHOLE serving for the match. Wagner makes 2 great volleys. Gets it back to deuce. But SITHOLE then makes a great pass. A lefty forehand cross court like Nadal. Whips it past him on the move. And then Wagner makes one more error and loses the match. SITHOLE 6-4, 6-4, unbelievable stuff. Wished I could have seen it, but thank you U.S. Open for your great work. The best coverage by any slam so far that we've seen as far as covering juniors, wheelchairs. They've covered it all. I have the links below. Congrats to them. Big time stuff by the U.S. Open. They screwed up on the night that the crier went. I will admit that. I don't know why the doubles final, the men's, or at least the Williams weren't on that night. But, as far as coverage on their website, it's been fantastic. And, that SITHOLE is a true hero. And I recommend you guys to look at the links below. Just fantastic. And I don't know. He supposedly, Rick DeVost had a tweet that said that SITHOLE actually got a new coaches, and this is why he's the new coaches he have put him over the top, and now he's in the top 5. And with his talent, one-arm bandit. This is amazing stuff. Again, I can't go on enough about this. Okay. Anyways, amazing talent, and I don't know, it's going to be between him and Lapthorne to take over as Wagner starts to fade out. Maybe he's a little older, but we'll see. Anyways, okay, and last but not least, speaking of a woman who's a little older also, had a little bit of the old women yips as well. And, everybody who gets over 30, they get this. And I don't, it's all it is. There was a guy named Paul Murphy who writes on Tennis Insight and wrote an incredible insight that I read one day that said that he noticed it with Pete Sampras, and it's the over 30 thing. They get the yips, like the golfer who's trying to putt, and he gets the yips when he gets older. And, it is what it is. Federer and now Serena. But you know what? This was just an amazing match, really. I mean, there was talk. I read somebody was writing, I think, on the U.S. Open site that Serena might have been injured. That was nuts. And talking about her being injured at Wimbledon, come on. It really, I mean, Lisicki wasn't 100%. Most people aren't 100% this summer. That's the way it is now in today's tennis. So little injuries here and there, a little fatigue. It's part of the game. Serena lost Wimbledon because of the slippery grass. Lisicki showed a little more variety, and then Serena got a little bit of the yips at the end of that match, and that's what happened. That's the end of that. But the U.S. Open, I said it way back at Wimbledon in my video there. The U.S. Open is a better court for her. She'll get some more aces. Maybe it's better. She can. The ball sits up more. She can use her power more. She can use her defense, her fighting spirit, and that's what happened. She was able to fight her way out of her nervousness. That's what happened. This couldn't happen at the Wimbledon because it was over before she blinked. Different surfaces. So, again, also, as far as her double faults, this was not injury. And Serena actually has said in her interview she feels great. No, she looks great and fit. Definitely, I agree. This was called wind. It was called the lively ball. By the way, they've had wind forever in Arthur Ashe. This year, the complaints are enormous. It's not the biggest win of all time. It was more wind this year, but still, a lot of the complaints, the ball is so lively. People don't realize this ball is faster this year. And with the wind, it really was, they were having trouble controlling it even more. So the wind, the lively ball, and then getting nervous at the end against a tough opponent, going for history over 30. A lot of pressure, okay? So this was a whole combination. Now, I saw that Serena said in her interview, I will play better in the wind next time. I needed to move my feet more and be more consistent. Well, yes, but my question is, why wasn't this a game plan? Because it's been blowing all along. Why wasn't the coach in her game planning for this, saying, hey, man, there might be a lot of wind again. We got to chop those feet, practice it on the court, chop your feet, get those balls back, or have a game plan. Like when she played Sloane Stephens, it was fantastic. A lot of defense. Fantastic stuff, because Sloane has the same power as Serena, really. She really has the kind of same ground strokes in offense. So the best thing to do to Sloane is just to run the balls down and make her hit herself out of the match, and that's what Serena did. That's fantastic, so that's a great game plan. So when you're playing Azarenka, you know Azarenka is going to fight, fight, fight. The wind, get the feet moving, get the balls back. Forget about the power. Don't worry about the double faults. Don't worry about first serve percentage. Get the balls back in the court. She did that in the third set. I just don't know why. I sometimes wonder, do we need a tennis crier consultant with the coaches to bring in the conditions into play? The conditions must be thought of. These balls, I'm not even sure that anybody realized how quick these balls were, even though they were bigger. And that's another thing. They were bigger and they were quicker. It's a weird combination. So I think these things need to be thought of a lot. Maybe they are, but sometimes from the commentating and what I see from coaches and the player interviews, I don't see it. So I'm wondering. But anyways, Serena did figure it out by the third set. Another thing, Azarenka letdown. She's had a lot of pressure, and she did let down a little bit. She played amazing. She let down at the end of the first set just a bit. She had the ABB against her. I call that the almost break, which is she almost broke Serena and would have served for the match, didn't get it, then Serena broke her. She would have served for the first set. She almost broke Serena. Actually, she almost broke Serena for the first set, if I recall. Serena broke her and then held for the set. So, yeah. Az almost broke at 5-4. Serena held to 5-all, broke Az, and then held on. So that turned everything around, and that's called the ABB. Happens a lot. You almost break someone, you try so hard, you don't quite get it, you let down for a second. Nadal's great at this. Nadal is always looking for these little edges. The person lets down, and then boom, the other person breaks them, just like that. And then before you know it, you're in trouble. Azarenka was down big time the second set, and then she woke up and fought all the way back, got it to a tiebreak. Serena got really tight, serving for the match twice. In the tiebreak, she got tight. Az took an amazing tiebreak, 8-6. And then all of a sudden, she took a big breath. Serena just started getting the balls in, fighting harder. Az was fighting, but with close games. Azarenka said it. These were not blowouts. It was a closer set than it looked. But Serena, time and again in that third set, kept getting the big points. And she won almost every game, just getting big points. Almost every game was close. And that was just mentally. Physically, Azarenka was fine, but mentally, she had added pressure because when she beat Serena, not only in Doha, but the big one was in Cincinnati, the pressure was on. She's the only one who can beat Serena now. Everybody was looking at this. Everybody was waiting for the U.S. Open final. I was too. Right after Cincinnati, that's the first thing I thought. U.S. Open final, these two. And I thought it was going to be maybe a blowout, and it looked like it in the beginning, and I even said that, but I said, if it goes 3 sets, Serena's going to have to wrap this up quick, and she did, and that was huge. I think it goes to a third set tiebreaker. Azarenka gets this. We have more nervousness from Serena, so she did exactly what she had to do, And I didn't see this big letdown from AZARENKA coming, but I should have known. You could see it the whole tournament. Just fighting, it was just something to get used to now. But she'll get used to it. She's now going to be a top contender. Everybody knows, like, this girl can be the one to take number one from Serena. And now I think AZARENKA, next year, she'll be more used to it. And I think she may get it. She may get number one back. I don't know. She's impressed me. She's went way further for her talent than I expected. And yeah, between her and I think Sloane Stephens' talent is off the charts. Serena's going to have her work cut out for her next year. But a great job by Serena to hold her nerve. I can't believe how she came in that third set. You know, I started to wonder myself, boy, is this going to be over now? Because it looked like Serena was really reeling, but she calmed herself down. She came out and she got the ball in the court and handled the wind well. And wow, great. And you know, to win this tournament at 17 and now again at 31, wow. Forget about the serve. Forget about her talent. Forget about it all. She won this thing at 17. She wins it again 14 years later. That's a big case for one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever. Anyway, by the way, one thing Serena said in her interview was she always hears Venus's voice in the crowd, and Venus always supports her. And I find it ironic that Venus is such great support, and maybe even had a lot to do with Serena coming out calmer in that third set, plus her new coaching, and I mean the guy she's with now and all this, the whole team around her. But anyway, hearing Venus's voice and thinking of Venus, and I wonder why that can't happen in the doubles, because Serena had a letdown after her semifinal, and they played terrible in the doubles, in their semifinal doubles, and Serena said Venus feeds off her energy. Why didn't Venus help her through the doubles and they win the doubles? But you know, I don't know. I don't understand all that. You have to be on the court playing professional tennis to really understand all that in detail. And that would be a question I'd love to ask Serena and Venus. But as far as Serena's singles, Venus may be having a disease and fighting a battle right now. But she's a big part of her sister's success too, I think. And I think that was great that Serena gave her that credit. So, that's a wrap. An incredible singles match, an incredible wheelchairs matches, juniors finals, an incredible day of finals at the U.S. Open, an incredible job by the U.S. Open website to cover it. Maybe in a year or two we will get all these finals on TV as they should be, and we'll have a huge day of U.S. Open tennis on Sundays or Saturday or whenever it's going to be. They need to get all this on the TV. It's fantastic stuff. And congrats to SITHOLE, congrats to Serena, AZARENKA, Wagner, CORIC, KONJUH, the whole Hude, everybody. Great day of tennis.